Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I hope everyone is doing okay I think it's still morning, at least back home. Does anybody know what time it is? Does anybody really care? That's what's on my mind. So let me check this, make sure I'm up and live and everyone hears me okay. While I'm doing this, if you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe it. Not subscribe it, but like it, share it. And of course, you can always support this content through Patreon. Or for that matter, I'm remonetized, so Super Chat or Streamlabs. This should be a bombshell. What I'm about to say should be a bombshell. Considerations of the United States military or actions that the United States military is taking place should be guided by things that go beyond this idea of cash and crony capitalism. If you're going to put our soldiers on the line, or for that matter, you got our resources on the line, or if you're going to use our hardware, artillery, whatever, if anything is associated with us, it should be more than just fiscal considerations. Or at the very least, fiscal considerations shouldn't be one of the guiding principles behind the choice. This should be more of a bombshell. The Wall Street Journal reported that Mike Pompeo, in secret memo, let's say it's a leaked memo, that Mike Pompeo was disagreed with his advisors, agreed with the other set of advisors. I'm saying this poorly. The decision for Mike Pompeo to reauthorize our support from the standpoint of Saudi Arabia had apparently more to do with this idea of weapon contracts. That weapons contracts, the sales to Saudi Arabia, could be impugned if we decide to go against Saudi Arabia and them bombing and murdering and killing Yemenis. The United States has been assisting Saudi Arabia in this, even though this has nothing to do with the United States. For all intents and purposes, the government of Yemen goes down. Now, this government was more closely aligned with Saudi Arabia. That government goes down. The Houthis take over. Saudi Arabia has this idea, and the United States also, that the Houthis are essentially a proxy for Iran, and Iran is their mortal enemy. They go after the Houthis to try to reinstall the previous government. Great. Great. What does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with me? Why is my tax dollars propping up this regime that chops off heads and chops off hands and goes into this thing of crucifixion? Why are my tax dollars being used for this? If they want to engage in this type of militarism, let them engage in this militarism. That has nothing to do with me. Or at the very least, it should have nothing to do with me, but it does have something to do with me because my government is assisting these maniacs in the murdering and starving and weaponizing hunger against Yemen population. Saudi Arabia is armed to the teeth because they buy from us and our weapons contractors, which is what Mike Pompeo was talking about. Whoa, if we do anything like pull back, maybe they'll stop buying our weapons. That's a fiscal consideration. That has nothing to do with governance. This should be more of a bombshell. This is crony capitalism on steroids. Take a look at this. Pompeo backs continued U.S. support in Yemen over objections from staff. Secretary Mike Pompeo recent certification allowing continued U.S. military support for Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen came direct objection from much of his staff, the Wall Street Journal reported Thursday. Citing a certified memo and sources familiar with the matter, the journal reported that Mike Pompeo overruled concerns by most of the State Department's military and area specialists who were worried about the rising civilian deaths in the Yemen war. Hey, we're murdering civilians. We're murdering civilians. This is problematic for us. A, it's illegal because we shouldn't be helping them in this case. I don't know what law of fig leaf they're using in order to help Saudi Arabia to murder and starve Yemenis in this way. But B, you're killing people. Saudi Arabia doesn't seem to care all that much about the number of civilians that they killed, even when those civilians are children in a school bus. Pompeo instead sided with his legislative affairs team, who argued that suspending support could impact plans to sell $2 billion in weapons to American Gulf allies, according to the journal. whoa, look, if we stop arming these guys, I mean, if we stop backing these guys, they can stop buying our weapons. Think about what we're saying here. The decisions of the United States in this case are being guided not by what's good and rational sense, but because Pompeo wants to keep the weapon contracts. This should be more of a bombshell. A spokesperson for the U.S. State Department told The Hill that the department wouldn't comment on the deliberative process or allegedly leaked documents. I bet they wouldn't. I bet they wouldn't. The spokesperson added that Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates are working to end the civil war while making efforts to alleviate the humanitarian crisis and reduce civilian casualties. That's a lie. That's not true. Or that's so Orwellian in its language that it becomes utterly nonsense. Utterly nonsense. I'm not going to keep this video long, only to say that this should be more of a bombshell. Look, the government is supposed to be the collective will of the population. This idea of a representative government where we go out and we push and we bitch and we complain and we moan and we say bad things to each other. Why? All of this with this idea of trying to grab onto the political edifice. You have so many people that have become so dejected from the horrendousness of this process that they've checked out. This allows swamp creatures like Pompeo and Bolton to get into office, riding on the coattails of Donald Trump. These guys are making choices, not by what is in the best interest of the population of our country, but purely based on this kind of monetary considerations of, look, it may hurt the poor weapons contractors, and we don't want to do that. So we need to continue to commit the United States government, something that's supposed to represent all of us. A few people make the choice. We need to commit the United States government supporting these bloodthirsty regime. This should be more of a bombshell. Just saying. Let's see who's here first before I cut this one, because this one is not going to be long. Country is run by sociopaths and sycophants. Yeah, pretty much. You know, the wild part about this is his team is saying, kill this. Stop this. We can't keep supporting this. And he turns to the people who are giving him the answer that he wants, and they say, look, if you do this, yes, I understand that those guys are the people who would know. I understand those guys are the people who are on the ground. I understand that those guys are experts on what's taking place here. But you tell me what I should do. Everything that those guys said is true, but if you leave, you're going to lose your weapons contracts. Solved. Solved. You have my support. You have my support. It's amazing. Utterly amazing. All right, I'm going to end this one. I'm not going to keep this one long. There's not a lot of meat on this particular bone. But I'll be back in a few. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the patron. This should be more of a bombshell. And I got to be honest, it gets across where your society is by the fact that it's not. Like, in the same way that you can tell what's going into my head by the things that I'm saying and how I'm responding to you, to the same degree, you can look at the country itself and see how the country responds to something like this, or by the fact that the country doesn't respond at all, to show that how low we've fallen in regards to accountability. I'll leave it here. All right, guys. Y'all have a good one. I'll see you shortly.